The Abomination of Desolation. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. Welcome to the Christian Whistleblower channel. And tonight, we're going to talk about the Abomination of Desolation. I am Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, coming to you on Unindoctrinate Radio and on the Christian Whistleblower YouTube channel, where we have the full video presentations of these great podcast extravaganzas on a daily basis, usually multiple times per day, because I'm that kind of guy. We have a great time. We know what we're doing. We know where we're doing it, and we are doing it as often as we can. This is, I think, the third installment in this series. We've been talking about Matthew 24, Revelation, Daniel chapter 9. Today we'll get specifically into Daniel chapter 9. We showed you yesterday, I think it was yesterday, without any doubt, that the Abomination of Desolation was Jerusalem surrounded by armies, and that happened in AD 70. So the fulfillment of Matthew 24 took place in AD 70, period. Anybody that tells you anything different is willfully deceived and likely a neo-Jesuit agent of error. It's just plain and simple, ladies and gentlemen. It's been how many years since we've had the internet? It's been at least 5 years since I've been putting this information out. I show you directly from the text. Let the ignorant be ignorant still, and they are ignorant of their own will, and their bottom line is more important to them than their integrity. It's just that simple. Matthew 24 took place, ladies and gentlemen, in AD 70, period. Beyond question, beyond doubt, beyond discussion. And that's just the way it is. Why? Because that's the way the text says it is. And the text doesn't care what you think. The text doesn't care what you've been taught. And the text sure don't give a damn what you believe. Because the text is the text. And your problem is that you want a text without a context. What you got's a pretext. And you can take that pretext all the way to the land of error, because that's where it leads to, ladies and gentlemen. The Abomination of Desolation. Now that we know what it is, now that we know when it was, we can begin to really fully understand it. And I left the door to the studio wide open, but hey, what are you going to do? So let's take a look at this, because we saw in Matthew 24 when they're talking about the Abomination of Desolation as spoken of by Daniel the prophet. So the best thing that we can do is go to Daniel the prophet and see where it is spoken about, ladies and gentlemen. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And that's exactly what we're going to do right freaking now. And did I forget to set my I did, but I'll just use that one. So it'll be okay. We'll make it. We'll make it work, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to go ahead and go right now to Daniel chapter 9 and verse 27. You will be able to see it on your screen right before you. Unless you're on Unindoctrinate Radio, then you'll have to go over to the Christian Whistleblower YouTube channel if you want to see it. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to get right into this, confirming the covenant, the overspreading of abominations, desolations. That's where we get Abomination of Desolation. So we're going to get through this, and we're going to get through this verse by verse, and in many cases, word by word. And we're going to start in verse 26. And we're going to talk about a couple of things. And we're not going to take it in direct order, but we're going to cover everything. And verse 26, what we're going to point out is that the prince of the people that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. Now, look at what that says, because it's very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very important. Look at that. I want to let that sink in for a minute. The people of the prince that shall come. Those people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. Those people will destroy the city and the sanctuary. I wish that I could get this door to the studio closed. Magic. Look at that. It happened. It happened. That's what you call powerful manifestation right there, ladies and gentlemen. Powerful projection of intention. James is in Nashville. I was supposed to be there myself, but unfortunately, an ice storm, I didn't make it but halfway to St. Louis. So anyway, the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. Who destroyed the city? Who destroyed the sanctuary? What people came and destroyed the city and the sanctuary? The Roman people came and destroyed the city and the sanctuary. So the people of the prince that shall come, the prince that shall come and destroy the city and the sanctuary was the Romans. The people of the prince that shall come were the Romans. The prince that shall come was a Roman. It was Titus. They came and they destroyed the city and the sanctuary. There's no way around that. It's very, very simple. It's very, very easy. Just because you don't believe it, just because you weren't taught it, just because it's not what you've been told, doesn't matter. The text says, the people of the prince that shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. We know that was the Romans, open and shut case. This is talking about the Romans, the prince of the Romans, Titus. It gives important information on who it is in view here. The people, the Romans, of the prince Titus Caesar, that shall come destroy the city and the sanctuary. Who did that? Rome did that. Who did that? Titus did that, ladies and gentlemen. Titus did that, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm fixing to really blow your mind right here. That kind of blew your mind, but watch this. Let's go back for a second. After 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off. Messiah is going to be cut off. You think you know what Messiah means, don't you? You think you know who Messiah is, don't you? Watch this. See how blue? You click on it. It's a hyperlink. It takes you to the city or this verse itself. And then these are all blue. They're hyperlinks. So you can go boom right there and you can find out that Messiah. What does Messiah mean? It means the anointed. Ooh, it means the anointed or the anointed ones. Ooh, thank you, Jules. It means the anointed ones, the anointed. See, they always want you to believe, oh, it's the Christ. That's a terrible translation. I tried to tell Carrie that today. She didn't want to believe it, but it's okay. It's the truth anyhow. And we can agree to disagree. After these weeks, and we're talking about things that happened before this 70th week, which was AD 70, which is interesting, Jerusalem being destroyed, the Messiah will be cut off and have nothing. Who will be cut off and have nothing? Not the Messiah, but the anointed. And more correctly, the anointed ones. Do you see that it's only used as a singular Messiah twice? And it's shown as anointed and anointed ones 36 times. How about a little context? Not only do I give you text, I give you context so we don't wind up in the land of pretext. So what's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen? When the people of the prince who is to come will destroy the city and the sanctuary, those are the Romans and the Roman leader, guess what? The anointed will be cut off and will have nothing. The anointed will be cut off and will have nothing when the Romans come and destroy the city and the sanctuary. The anointed ones will be cut off. Literally will be put down to nothing. Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. This is great stuff. And I wrote this. It's just my notes, but I will read them to you. Jerusalem was the stronghold of the message of the anointing. The apostles, if they existed, that message about love yourself, love your neighbor, that message about peace that passes all understanding, that message about life and life more abundant, that message got started in Jerusalem. That message owned Jerusalem. They were preaching that message in Jerusalem, and they were gaining converts steady. Paul couldn't even preach in Jerusalem with his other message. He got shouted down. He got beat up. He got arrested. He got kicked out. And that was the great strength of that movement, the movement of the anointing, the message of the anointing, of the flow, is they controlled, Rita, stay with me, they controlled the capital city. Their message controlled Jerusalem, the biggest city in Judea. But also, that was their biggest weakness, because we saw yesterday that even though they were warned to get out of the city, when they saw Rome surrounded, a lot of them did not leave the city. And when they did not leave the city, what happened to them, ladies and gentlemen? When the anointed ones did not leave the city as they were instructed to do so, they were cut off. They were killed. They were destroyed. They were left with nothing. And when Jerusalem was destroyed, the stronghold of the message of the anointing was over. It was left with nothing. And it was easy for Paul's message to take over and gain the ascendancy. When the people of the prince that came to destroy the city, the Romans and the sanctuary, the Romans, Titus, he cut off the anointed ones. And they had nothing. They were left with nothing, ladies and gentlemen. We showed you yesterday in Matthew 24 how it showed that they were turned upon by the Jews and by the few people of Paul's persuasion in Jerusalem. And they killed them. They destroyed them. They murdered them, ladies and gentlemen. They were literally cut off as described in Matthew 24, 9 and 10. Let's take a quick look at that. Matthew 24, 9 and 10. Give us context. I can't reteach everything that we taught yesterday, but we'll look at that just to tie it in. Matthew 24, verses 9 and 10. Y'all ready? Matthew 24, 9 and 10. They deliver you up to be afflicted. They'll kill you. You'll be hated. Many will be offended. They'll betray one another. They'll hate one another. They'll kill one another. That's what we're talking about happening in Daniel 9:27 that we're just talking about. That's exactly what we're talking about. That places it firmly within Matthew 24 and shows us that we're talking about the same thing. We're talking about the thing they line up perfectly. Matthew told us this is what the abomination of desolation was. Luke told us. Mark told us. They all say that Jerusalem surrounded by armies was the abomination of desolation. And as we break it down, it's so plain that it is the abomination of desolation. The people of the prince that will come that destroyed the city and the sanctuary, they were Romans. They came with a flood. Yes, they did. Desolations came upon Jerusalem. Yes, they did. The prince of those people, Titus, who had become Caesar. That's who we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. That prince, ladies and gentlemen. That prince confirmed a covenant with many for 1 week. That prince, he, the prince. Keep it in context. That prince will confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, 7 years. So Titus, Caesar, Rome had some sort of a covenant with Judea for 7 years. Let's look at it. After a covenant. What was a covenant? What was a covenant? It is, they were allies, they were a covenant, they had a league, they had a treaty. Ooh, they had a treaty with the Jews in Jerusalem. They had a treaty for 1 week or for 7 days, probably 7 years. They had a 7-year treaty. So they had a treaty of 7 years. They had a plan for 7 years. Josephus talks about this. The Roman historians talk about this. They were trying to take Jerusalem. They were trying to put an end to the endless Jewish wars peacefully. And it wasn't because they were good guys. It was because Titus wanted that temple. He really wanted that building. He wanted to have it, to own it, to use it. The Romans didn't usually destroy stuff. So they had this idea for they were going to take 7 years. They were going to take a week to try to figure out how to make some sort of a agreement, some sort of a deal with the Jews so they wouldn't have to destroy the city, because they knew that's what it was coming to. And what have I got written here in verse 27? Boom. We're getting deep, ladies and gentlemen. Here we have the anointed and Jesus clearly differentiated. The anointed ones were cut off. And, ladies and gentlemen, here we have the prince of the people that came to destroy the city and the anointed and the sanctuary. These people came. These people came. And he, the prince, the guy that made the covenant, was the Roman. And it's a Roman joke, ladies and gentlemen. They knew about this whole Prince of Peace thing. So this Roman joke, you need to read Joseph Atwell and understand the Roman humor. It's very, very dark. He's the prince. We know you want the Prince of Peace. We're going to send you a Prince of Peace. All right, here he comes. It's a prince. And we're trying to keep from killing you fools, but here comes the prince. So here's the prince. It was a Roman joke, Prince of Peace. It was really Titus, Rome, Caesar. And Rome had a 7-year plan to try to subdue Jerusalem, Judea peacefully. Rome was intensely practical. Titus wanted the temple taken whole. They tried to stop the sacrifice and the oblation. You know the whole story of Jesus going into the temple, turning over the tables, causing the sacrifice to end? It wasn't Jesus. There was no Jesus. That wasn't a guy. Think about that. How likely is a temple guarded by guards with swords are going to let a dude walk in, turn over tables, set animals free, let all the money, and this was Passover. There was tens of thousands of dollars. Do you really think some guy with a whip was going to come in there and be able to cause all that havoc, and they weren't going to arrest him? They weren't going to stick him with a sword. They weren't going to take him down. Of course they would have. It's a story. Titus, Caesar, they were trying to confirm this covenant. They were trying to stop sacrifice and offering because they couldn't have the Jewish religion as strong as it was. They were trying to stop it. But guess what? After 3.5 years, they figured out, you know what? We can't stop this. It can't be stopped. It can't be defeated. We're just going to have to take them down. So in the middle of the week, in the middle of their 7-year plan to subdue Judea peacefully, they said, oh, the hell with it. These people are crazy. We can't stop them. We can't end their silly religion. So guess what? We're going to have to bring an abomination that causes desolation. We're going to have to destroy the temple. We tried for a week, but by 3.5 years of this plan, it was obvious it wasn't going to work. And by the way, Paul and his ministry, quote unquote, lines up with this. Paul was sent by Rome to try to take down this religion, try to stop the sacrifice, try to overcome the temple offering, try to overcome the temple religion and turn it to something else. He failed. Rome's plan failed. So they finally had to, they couldn't put an end to sacrifice and offering. So by the middle of the week, they said, forget about it. It's time to bring the abomination. that's going to cause desolation. It's time to pour out destruction. And that's exactly what happened, ladies and gentlemen. That's exactly what happened. They tried to stop the sacrifice and the oblation for 3.5 years. It didn't work. They said, that's it. And they brought in a military solution. And 66 AD, ladies and gentlemen, think about this. Almost 3.5 years to the day before Jerusalem was destroyed by Rome, Paul wrote a letter. It's called the book of Titus in the New Testament. Paul wrote a message to Titus 3.5 years before Jerusalem was destroyed, 3.5 years before the temple was destroyed. Paul wrote a letter and said, I'm coming home. But I'm sure that's just a coincidence. He was there for 7 years. He thought he could pull it off. After 3.5 years, he said, I can't do it. Rome said, it's not going to happen. And Paul sits down 3.5 years after he got there, 3.5 years before Jerusalem is destroyed, and sends a letter to Titus. Look it up. Titus was written in 66 AD. Do you really think that's a coincidence? Paul, as Tracy says, like a spy, said, hey, I'm coming home. It's clear. You can raid the place. Do you really think that's coincidence? Do you really think it just happened to happen? No. It's perfectly, completely clear within the text. It did happen. This is how it happened. And now we know how it happened, ladies and gentlemen. Even Christian lore agrees, having Christ, quote unquote, stop the sacrifice at the temple with whips and scourges story. Now that weird story makes sense. It gives us a prophetic twist. It helps us understand that it's an allegory. It's a story. Pastors say it's a different Titus. Of course they do, Harry. It's just a coincidence, Harry. Come on, Harry. You know that Paul writing Titus 3.5 years before the destruction of Jerusalem, it's just a coincidence. It's a different Titus. Paul was a Roman. He's writing to Titus. He leaves for Rome, but it's just a coincidence. It was another Titus that lived in Rome that Paul worked for. Different Titus. We know better, ladies and gentlemen, because we are not filled with the blood poison anymore. We've got it free and out of our veins. Forget what you know, ladies and gentlemen, and ask yourself, what does the text show? Forget what you believe and cling to what the text shows. Be an honest person. Be a fair person. Be a person that understands and knows, and not a person that is a silly dolt. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is Unindoctrinate. We'll be right back after these massages. Not really. Nobody's getting massaged. No rub downs. We'll be right back after these messages. Very interesting question asked by Leldon in the chat room. Is there a version of the New Testament that has the books in chronological order? Yes, there is, but I'm the one that wrote it, so it sounds self-serving. It's called the Diamond New Testament. I don't like it anymore. I don't really want to sell it anymore because I don't really believe that it is practical and helpful anymore. Only if you're a warrior should you be reading the Bible. That's my belief, because it's dangerous. It's deceitful. It's like a magic spell. It is a magic spell. And unless you're reading it for the right reasons to find out what they're trying to do to hurt you and to decipher it as a book that is intended to destroy you, that's why it bothers me. But yes, there is and think of that. There's only one New Testament that's ever been written in chronological order, even though we know the chronological order, and it was written by this guy. How crazy is that? And of course, I didn't write it. I compiled it. Ooh, Tracy says the New Testament is a grimoire. It really is. It really is. Wow. That is powerful. So we know what the abomination of desolation was. We know when the abomination of desolation happened, and we've got that all down. We know 100% for sure what it was. So now that we know Matthew 24, and now that we know Daniel 9:27 and how it fits in, let's look at the events of Matthew 24. Let's recap the events of Matthew 24 in chronological order. Let's put them together. And then we're going to find those events in the book of Revelation. I don't know if we're going to do that tonight, but Matthew 24. And let's just go look at Matthew 24, and we'll pull the big events out of Matthew 24 and build a timeline. Cynthia, you shouldn't love the Psalms. Oh, good. She loved them. That's past tense, which I'm glad to see. Matthew 24. So we're at Matthew 24. And I don't know why I'm sniffly. It's a little, weather change, all that kind of stuff. Sorry about that. Matthew 24. And the first thing we're talking about in Matthew 24 is, sorry, I can't mute while I'm sharing. Matthew 24, we're talking about the destruction of the temple. He walks out of the temple. They say, oh, look, isn't this place great? And he says, it's going to be destroyed. All of it's going to be destroyed. So the first thing you see in Matthew 24 is the destruction of the temple. That dates the entire narrative to AD 70. No, it's not, Tracy. If we can find the events of Matthew 24, listen to this, folks. We know we have pinpointed Matthew 24 to AD 70. We have pinpointed the abomination of desolation to AD 70. There's no doubt. Matthew 24 is over. It's history. It's not a mystery. It's history. The abomination of desolation is history. It's not a mystery. We know that. Anybody that tells you anything else is a knowing liar, a neo-Jesuit con man or con woman, because there's con women out there too. And they're neo-Jesuit bought and paid for agents. Matthew 24. Abomination of desolation, over, done with, AD 70. What if we can find the events of Matthew 24 somewhere in the book of Revelation, exactly the same? Well, then we could pinpoint that part, at least, of the book of Revelation to AD 70. And we would know that AD 70, ladies and gentlemen, if part of Revelation happened in AD 70, we could prove that AD 70 is also history, Revelation's history. Social Observer had a super chat question. Let me go back to it. Do you think the Knights of the Templar that discover the Gnostic scrolls of Mary Magdalene, a.k.a. the Nag Hammadi scrolls, were killed by the Vatican? They might have been, but the deeper question is, who were the Knights of the Templar that supposedly discovered the scrolls of Mary Magdalene, a.k.a. the Nag Hammadi? Who are they working for, and what was their agenda? And the first rule of assassination is kill the assassins. You got to remember the Nag Hammadi are writings that are also diamond and dung, just like the New Testament. So do I think the Knights of Templar were killed? Well, of course, Knights Templar were killed by Catholic kings. But was it a false flag? And who were the Knights Templar? Who were they working for? Who was working for them? It's a very, very slippery slope. We're going to get more into Dylan's diagram and talk to Dylan more about this as we move along. Discovered, quote unquote, right? So where the heck was I? Oh, if we can pinpoint Matthew 24 in the book of Revelation, then we can tie the book of Revelation to AD 70. And I'm going to do it. And then the prophecy pimps and the prophecy hoes, what else do you call a girl that does it? They, ladies and gentlemen, will be left with no more fear. No more fear mongering.
Let's take a look.
Aye. Still had the clock open. They won't be able to preach that it's in the future anymore. Let's take a look. They won't be able to deceive you anymore. They can't deceive you anymore with Matthew 24 being future. They can't deceive you anymore with the Abomination of Desolation being future. You know from the text that it happened in AD 70. You know. And if I can find the book of Revelation, if I can find the events of Matthew 24 in the book of Revelation, we can also put the book of Revelation at AD 70. And do you think I'd be doing this if I couldn't do that? So then we get in Matthew 24, we got the destruction of the temple. We got the warnings of false Christ. They told them, we're going to send you a false Christ. Titus, we're going to send you a false Christ. The whole Caesar's Messiah. Wars and rumors of war. He's coming. When you move an army across lands, and when the Jews were great merchants, they would know that the army was coming. There was wars. There was rumors of wars. And then they did come, and you got a hot war. And it was going to get worse because they just surrounded the city, but it was just getting started. Then we've got the death of the people within the city. You're the ones to blame for the Romans surrounding us, the anointed ones, those that were teaching the message of love your neighbor, love yourself, peace that passes all understanding, life more abundant. The ones that didn't heed the warning that they got at least 4 years before that said, when you see Rome surrounded by armies, leave. They didn't leave. They stayed. It was their own fault, but it was still a tragedy. Then you saw Rome surround the city. You saw that they were warned to leave, and they didn't. And then you saw that Rome opened the gates, allowed people to go in for Passover. A city that normally had about 150, 200,000 people was over 1 million people. And then Rome shut the gates and wouldn't let them back out. Famine, pestilence, death, eating babies, the Great Tribulation. I didn't say that was a great tribulation. Matthew said that was a great tribulation. Mark said that was the great tribulation. Luke said that was the great tribulation. It was a trap. And those that listened lived, and those that didn't died. Titus in Rome declared themselves the Christ, the deliverers. Jerusalem would not listen. They destroyed the temple. They destroyed it lightning fast. They destroyed it with overwhelming force. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we get to some interesting parts that we didn't talk about yet. And let's talk about these. The Jesuits were CIA, says Social Observer. Well, there wasn't a CIA then. There wasn't a CIA then, but I get your point. So we're down to about verse 27. Let's begin to look at some of the parts we did not look at yet. For as lightning comes out of the east and shineth even to the sun, even to the west, that's how fast the Romans fell upon the city, ladies and gentlemen. Like lightning. The coming of the Son of Man, that's Titus. How do I know? Because that's what Josephus said. That's what Atwell's work shows. That's what the Roman historians' work shows. They called Titus the Son of Man. And like lightning, he came, and all of a sudden, he descended upon the city. They were just surrounding it, and all of a sudden, boom, he's there. And look at 28 here, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this verse. 28. This is good stuff. 28, wherever there's a carcass. What's a carcass? A dead body, a corpse. Christians can't handle this verse because they can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth. It's a carcass. It's a corpse. It's a dead body. A carcass, a corpse, a dead body. In AD 70, ladies and gentlemen. Carcass, corpse, dead body in AD 70. And what happens when you get a bunch of carcasses? When you get a bunch of corpses? When you get a bunch of dead bodies, what happens? Vultures come. Duh, vultures come. But wait a second. Vultures come, but it can also be an eagle. It can also be an eagle. So let's think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Let's think about this for a minute. The verse says that, Matthew 24:28, the verse says that here comes Titus. He kills a bunch of people, and there's vultures gathered there. But the word can also be eagles. Do you know what the symbol of Rome is? Do you know what the symbol of Rome was, ladies and gentlemen? Do you know what the symbol of Rome was? What was the symbol of Rome? The symbol of Rome, ladies and gentlemen, was what? It was the eagle. Rome's great eagle. If you look at remember the thumbnail for this verse or for this podcast, they got the eagle on the top of their standards. Ooh, and how about that? So is America's. So not only was this verse fulfilled, and of course it could have been doctored, and it probably was, but there were vultures and there were eagles. There were vultures because there was a bunch of dead carcasses. And there were eagles because they were the people, the prince that came that killed all the carcasses. They were the ones who the Son of Man was, Titus. And then as soon as he fell upon the city, they had that tribulation. They had that tribulation. And I want you to notice this. That tribulation happened in AD 70. And this says immediately after the tribulation of those days. What days? The days of AD 70. Immediately after the tribulation of the days of AD 70. Not some future tribulation. Not some Marzulian. Not some Beglian. Not some Breakerian. Not some Clarkian future foolishness, but immediately after tribulation of those days, AD 70, and immediately after. Oh, well, it's prophetic perspective and immediately could mean a long time after. Oh, really? What does immediately mean in the Greek in which it was written? Immediately means at once, directly. Now, I'm not a math major. I'm a Bible college graduate. But if it happened in AD 70 and they're telling me it's 2019 and it hasn't happened yet, that's not at once, cousin. If it happened in AD 70, this tribulation, and they say that it hasn't happened yet and it's 2019, that's not directly. That is not directly. So whatever happened immediately after the tribulation of those days happened in AD 70. Oh, Jeff, you're painting yourself into a picture. You're painting yourself into a corner, I mean. Because it says the sun will be darkened. The moon won't give its light. The stars will fall from heaven. The powers of the heavens are shaken. Sign of the Son of Man appears in heaven. All the tribes mourn. They see the Son of Man coming in clouds with heaven, power, and glory. They send angels with the sound of a trumpet. They gather together to elect from the four winds. Jeff, how can you say that happened in AD 70? It didn't. My friends, Do you forget where you are? You are at the Christian Whistleblower YouTube channel. Do you forget who I am? I am the Christian Whistleblower. I'm the best in the world at what I do. In fact, I'm the only one in the world that does what I do. Have no fear. We will find those things right here. All apologies to Chris Jericho. He knows I'm just parodying him. So you're telling me, Jeff, that immediately after the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70, you're telling me that the sun was darkened. Yes, I am. Think about this. All of that smoke from a whole city burning, how would it affect the sun? It would darken the sun, wouldn't it? But that's not it. It would, but that's not it. But wait, there's more. All that smoke going up in front of the moon, how would it affect the moon? It would make it look kind of like that. It would make it look red. And it would, if it was at night, the moon wouldn't give its light. It would look like the stars had even fallen from heaven. It would look like the powers of the heaven had been shaken. We'll get back to that. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. That's Titus and the Roman standards. And he's coming with power and great glory, all the Roman legions. And there were people that ran and tried to escape from Jerusalem. And they sounded the trumpet and they ran them down and they gathered them together all the way to Masada. From one end of the Jewish world to the other, they rounded them up and they killed all of them. They killed all of them. They killed all of them. When? In AD 70, after the tribulation of those days. But there's more. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. There's more. And this is interesting because there's a couple of different ways to look at this, because when it says that the sun was darkened and the moon was darkened, those are the same words for what happened at the crucifixion. Remember, at the crucifixion, it didn't get dark. A shadow was cast. And that makes perfect sense. Smoke causing a shadow, which blocks out the sun, which blocks out the moon, which blocks out the stars. Or is it possible that there was some extraterrestrial ET craft involvement? What? Jeff, are you kidding me? No, I'm not. Keep that in your mind for a minute. Stars falling, heaven shaking. Same kind of talk that there was at the crucifixion and the resurrection, when I've already proven to you that there was a spaceship there. Jeff Daugherty, are you telling us there was a spaceship in AD 70? Well, what I'm telling you for sure is that the smoke from a whole city burning would make the sun look like it was darkened. The smoke from a whole city burning would cause the moon not to give its light and to turn blood red. It would make it look like the stars had fallen from the heavens. It would make it look like the powers of the heavens that were shaken. The coming of Titus was the coming of the Son of Man. All the tribes of the earth shall mourn. Do you understand, folks, that it was Passover time in Jerusalem, and Jews from every nation on earth had to come to Jerusalem for Passover? Literally, all the tribes on earth were at Jerusalem for Passover, ladies and gentlemen. All the tribes of Jerusalem were at earth for Passover, and they all mourned because they saw the Son of Man, Titus, coming with clouds, power, glory. They saw him chasing down from one end of the Jewish world to the other with the sound of the trumpet, capturing everybody and killing them. They saw it. But also, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm who I am and because I do what I do, I also know that if you do a little bit of study, and it's not even a lot of study, if you just do a little bit of study, you will find in the writings of both Roman and Jewish Roman, because Josephus wrote about it, you will find people writing. Thank you, Tracy. You will find writings that said, remember, yes, sun darkened, moon not give its light, stars fall from heaven, powers of heaven shaken, caused by the smoke. Absolutely. That's the rational explanation. And it did happen. They did see the sign of Titus. They did mourn because they were all there from all the tribes of the earth. He did come with power and great glory. They did chase him down with the sound of trumpet and gathered them all together and killed them. He did come like lightning that shined from one side of the earth to the other. It was just lightning fast, the Roman armies. All of that did happen. But I can't escape the fact that it's the same words as at the crucifixion when there was an extraterrestrial craft involved. And damn it, I got to change my book again. That's why I don't like writing books in paper, because I always find out more stuff. But check this out, ladies and gentlemen. If you just do a little study, and I'm not going to tell you where it is, you will find Roman documents that say, as Titus had destroyed Jerusalem, the night after he destroyed it and the temple was burning and the soldiers were chasing down the people that escaped from the city, and the soldiers were going back and getting ready to rest from the battle and leave, that they saw in the heavens, they saw great pictures that looked like armies armed for battle. They saw chariots in the heavens. They saw armies in the heavens. They saw golden armies and golden apparitions of battles in the heavens. Josephus writes about it. Tacitus writes about it. Study more of them. Dude, it could have actually been, and I think it probably was, some ET involvement. Why would the Jews write about it and the Romans write about it? The Romans and the Jews, they didn't agree on much. Why would they write the same thing? So there really was, according to the text, craft in the air that blocked out the sun. There really was craft in the air that blocked out the moon. There really was armies in the heavens. And there really was smoke that darkened the sun, darkened the moon, turned it blood red. There really was lightning in the skies. All you have to do is do a little bit of studying, just a little bit of studying, and you will find hundreds and hundreds and even thousands and thousands of references to these writings. There's probably, I think there's like 22 or 3 accounts from historians, not theologians. I'm not talking about the Bible. Roman historians saying, I don't know what or how to explain it, but we saw these things in the heavens. Now, did they literally see Project Bluebeam type stuff back in AD 70? I guess it's true, could be, but maybe they just saw what they saw at the crucifixion, at the resurrection, or maybe somebody just wants us to think that it was seen. But according to the text, it was there. According to the text, it was there. And when we go to Revelation, oh man, it becomes even more open and shut. It explains it all so well. And you see Revelation fit right into Matthew 24. You see Matthew 24 fit right into Revelation. Matthew 24, Daniel chapter 9, book of Revelation, all tells the same story. Abomination of Desolation, I've showed you it happened in AD 70. It's not mystery, it's history. Matthew 24, I've shown you it happened in AD 70. It's not history, it's not mystery. And tomorrow we'll show you, well, it might take me 2 more times, where the book of Revelation happened in AD 70. It ain't history. It ain't a mystery. It's history. And all of these baby thugs, no matter how much fear porning they do, they can't stop the text. And I mean Marzulli, Begley, Breaker, Quayle to an extent. They're not the baby thugs. There's other baby thugs that don't even bear mentioning. But they want to scare you. They're Jesuit shills. They're neo-Jesuits. It's so clear this stuff is history, but they all want you to think it's future so they can scare you with it and make you follow them and make you give them money and make you give them power and authority. I want you to guide your own spirit, master your own ascension, and be your own guru. I'm not trying to be your guru. I'm not trying to be your hero. I'm not trying to be your prophet. I'm not trying to be the one with your message. I ain't nobody's witness. It's so simple and so easy, folks, and it's so plain. You know, somebody just wrote, God's people are never scared, G Reporter. I agree with you, but what do you say to a Bible that says the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom? Not my God. Any God that wants me to fear him, any God that gets off on fear, any God that says fear is the first prerequisite for being mine, that God, I got one of these for him, but don't wait, I got one more of them for him. That's what I think of your God. That's what I think of the God of the Old Testament. That's what I think about the God of the New Testament. Put them together, I don't want either one of them. It's just that simple. Let's answer some questions. What do you say? Let's answer some questions. The real Messiah is a political figure, according to rabbis, says Tracy Dyer. That's true. That's true. How convenient for Paul. Isn't that convenient that he just happened to turn tail like a baby bitch and run back to Jerusalem? The fact of the matter is that Paul was probably getting a rub down by a little boy when Jerusalem was burning. Or maybe a little girl, I don't know. He might have been sitting in the Colosseum sipping wine and being fed grapes by a little girl, watching people of the anointing be killed by lions while Jerusalem burned. That's the guy that you call an apostle. That's the guy that you follow. Not me, cousin. Not this guy. Not today, not ever again. 20 years was too long. But I learned my damn lesson, and I'm not going back that way again. It's almost like it was planned by Paul in Rome. Yeah, almost like, exactly like. And of course, that was tongue in cheek. Your words are exactly the same as they were yesterday, sir. I don't think that's bad, is it? She says deja vu pretty bad. Why is that bad? It's called repetition, the mother of learning. It's calling letting you know and learn and understand. Let's see what else we got here. Love from Sedona, Arizona. Thank you so much. Did you say Prince of Peace? Yeah, it's a joke. Prince of Peace, and Titus comes in, I'm the prince, and let me give you a piece. It was a Roman joke. I'm the Prince of Pizza, says Old School. That's kind of funny. The nag is just likely as corrupted as the Bible. Abso-damn-lutely. I don't trust any of the sacred texts. Exactly. Exactly. Didn't someone say the Bible's the greatest story ever told? It is a great story. It is a great story. Religion sure has killed a lot of people. Jesus never existed. That's absolutely right. I had a book right here that said Jesus never existed that I read today. I'm going home. You can take over. That's what Paul said when he wrote Titus. Come on, guys. Really? AD 66, 3.5 years for the destruction of Jerusalem, Paul writes to Titus and says, listen, bro, ain't going to work. I'm coming home. And they put it in the book. They put it in the book. They tell you that in AD 66, Paul wrote Titus in Rome. They tell you. Who's really to blame? Is it them to blame, or is it you to blame for being dumb enough to buy it? Don't ask me to make that call right now. Is there a version of the New Testament with the books of chronological order? Yes, the Diamond New Testament. I wrote it. And think of that. It's been 2,000 years, and it takes a spiky-haired, snazzy jacket-wearing ex-Pentecostal evangelist to write it because nobody else will. That blows my mind. It still blows my mind. Too many years have passed to verify their lies. Yep. Paul was in cahoots with the enemy. Yep. Let's see. Berger was hoping for a massage. Not today. Not today. A grimoire is a book of spells, old school. Oh, that's what Tracy said. I had a super chat question. I saw it. I mentioned it. Mentioned it twice, I think. Mentioned it twice. Let's see. How dare you badmouth the Roman Empire in my best Greta Thunberg voice. Nice to see you, Ransom. It's so funny, ladies and gentlemen. They think we're so stupid. Hans and Greta Thunberg. Come on, man. Prophecy pimpettes. I like prophecy hoes better. I really do. Well, Jeffrey, I'm thinking of, I don't want to say the name. Let's see. Joseph Atwell does nail the story. And Harry wonders if he realized that all the times and dates in our history are a fabrication. You know what? I just bought a book, Harry, that is called, as I go into my email, I bought the book of, what was the guy's name? Hold on a second, because you'll be excited about this. I bought it, and it is the history or the issue with chronology. I got all of the books of, dude, what's his name? But it starts off with the issue with chronology, history, hidden fact, or science. Is it Volchenkov? What's his name? Anatoly, Fomenko. I got all those books. I'm about to dive into those. How exciting is this? Yeah, that's going to be good stuff. So we're going to get deep into that stuff. They love the babies then and now. It's so true, Ransom. And I got to tell you again, ladies and gentlemen, you think that it's just a few bad priests and a few bad preachers buggering kids. It's not. It's one of their sacraments. It's part of their religion. That's why they haven't done anything about it. That's why they won't do anything about it. Ritual child abuse and ritual child sacrifice is part and parcel of Roman Catholicism and Roman Protestant. Always has been, always will be, till we put it in the grave once and for all. Let's see. Scripture and sensibility. Thank you, Jeff, for taking time and precious life force energy to make sense and explore. Well, thank you, Garden of Goodness Treasures. I appreciate that very, very much. It stinks to high heaven and the scavengers come. Exactly. The vultures and the eagles. Good job, Ransom. What's a carcass? An awesome death metal band. Haven't heard them before. Let's see. That is a nice thing to say. What else we got here? America and the Nazis all use that symbolism. Rome never died, cousins. Remember the first time I was on Coast to Coast and George asked me, Jeff, why do you think the Roman Empire fell? And I said, did it fall, George? Their religion still runs the show. Their form of government still runs the show. Their form of commerce and money still runs the show. And he's like, oh, maybe they didn't fall. How about that? Maybe they didn't fall. Oh, the eagle, the astronauts, the eagle has landed. Oh, yeah. Even though I don't think that eagle landed the way they showed us. I just have a hard time with the Earth, with the moon landing. I really do. I've seen that damn thing. And, oh, there's just no way. They couldn't even turn around. Those two astronauts couldn't get dressed and all their stuff and get out of that thing. It wasn't big enough. I'm just saying the earth, the moon landing like they sold it to us, that ain't the way it happened, cousins. Impossible. Didn't happen that way. Didn't happen that way. Let's see what else we got. They carried it before them. The Michael McCracken with some good history here. They carried the eagle before them, and beneath the eagle was inscribed SOPR. That's absolutely right. The double-headed eagle is when they realize that you don't have a cross-sighted man designing coins to be printed. Lost me there. Let's see. They're not going to get their third world war. Not if we can help it, ladies and gentlemen. I think we can stop it. I really, really do. And for some reason, somebody's talking about dinosaurs. It never ceases to amaze me, the things that come up in the chat. It'll be squirrel. Dinosaurs? Anyway, it's fun. It's fun. I like to see it. It is funny. No second tribulation. What, you like the first one so much? Always trying to scare us with some BS. Absolutely. Break the trance, break the spell, says Cloudy County. Abso-damn-lutely. I'm being hypnotized by Jeff's background. That's kind of a cool background, huh? I get the books were mass control, but Christ was real. The word Christ isn't even real, Social Observer. The word Christ isn't even real. And Christ, the anointing was real. The flow was real. The message was real. But I hate to tell you, there wasn't any little bibbly, babbly, deepy diapers in a manger. There wasn't. I'm sorry. ETs, man, come on. Dan, sorry, bro. I'm just telling you what the text says. Text says they were there, and history says they were there. They saw all that stuff in the sky. Were they all wrong? Were they all drunk? I'm just saying, man. Christ will come back in a mothership. Well, it won't be Christ. It'll be somebody that you think is Christ, or that they want you to think is Christ. The Jesuits are sons of the Anunnakis. That's interesting. Elvis was an alien. Now you've gone too far, Social Observer. I absolutely love everything you do, says Delaney. Everything, Delaney? Everything? I don't know if you would love everything. Is this my mother? Did my mother call herself Amy Ben Ezra? You're so smart, Jeff. Can't be my mom, because my mom wouldn't say that. And again, somebody's talking about Barney. I don't know why. How does Barney get into this? How does Barney get into this? I don't know. I do not know. Wow, this is good. Awesome. Let's see. There's so many writings that depict a space war. There really are, Aaron. AD 70. Yep, AD 70. That could explain what they meant by the stars falling from the heavens being UFOs. Good one, Shadow Spirit. A space war, a war in the heavens. Same thing. Oh, like Aaron just said, same thing. Julie says, of course there was alien craft. Well, the text says there was, or seems to imply strongly that there was. Seems to imply strongly that there was. A war in the vacuum of space or a war in the skies of God's kingdom. Oh boy, here we go. You knew it was going to happen. You knew that there had to be an FE something or other. Had to be. Don't be doing no Jack Van Impe and blurting out any book and number. I'm going to look it up. Well, I hope you do, Dan, because if you do, I'll wait here for you to come back and say, oh, sorry, bro. I was being a smart ass, and you're right on the text. Dan says, don't be doing no Jack Van Impe and blurting out any book. Where the hell was Dan? Did he not see the text up on the screen? Dan, yo, bro, you blind? I don't mean to be hating on if you're blind. If you're blind, I get it. But if you can see, did you not see the text up on the screen? The Greek, the Hebrew? Jack Van Impe will never show you that. Come on, man. Come on, man. Ever wonder why God stopped talking? Maybe he ran out of things to say. You know, there's some people that say that they listen to, and they don't. Anyway, all roads do lead to Rome. Let's see. Andre Flamenco. Yep, I got all of his books. I'm going to start reading those. Paul sounds like a twat. And that was a girl that said that. Excellent. You got to love it when girls say that. It's just fun. It's just fun. Sorry, I need to get back up to where I was. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Chariots of Fire. Yep. We need more of this waking up idiocracy. Yep, we do. We do. They're all in the text. What else we got? I saw some good stuff down here. Any God that wants you to hate is no God at all. Cool. Still, I'm back. Harry's still back. Harry's back. Great. How do you get people out of just believe in your heart and mind? You don't. You just throw it out there, and maybe they will, maybe they won't. The energy of fear feeds the lizards. No fear, they be starving. You're right, John Fitzpatrick. And so hip too with your comment. I like that. One thing I love about Jeff is he makes me question everything. Excellent, Ken. That's what it's all about. I just love enlightened former Christian preachers. Is there another one, Max, that you know of besides me? I wish there were. Believing your own God is Satanism, nothing more or less. Oh, Gunnar, we had to have the requisite Christian troll. Believing your God is Satanism. Then Jesus was a Satanist, Gunnar, because he told them, you are gods. Jesus was a Satanist. How can you believe in Jesus, Gunnar? He was a Satanist. He said, you're gods. Wow. How about that? Don't you just love when they sing when Jesus comes back? Where's he been? Did he get lost and his GPS go out? Most people are that stupid. That's true. Actually, says Max, Yeshua did exist. Actually, Max, about Yeshua was one of the most popular names in Judea in the first century. So there was a bunch of Yeshuas. You can throw a rock without hitting a Yeshua, having it bounce off and hit another Yeshua. But he wasn't a savior. And there wasn't even a Yeshua of note. I'm convinced of it. Anyway, why do Catholic priests wear fish head hats? You got it. Little Susie says, I'm a genius helping the rest of geniuses. I like that. We're all geniuses. Thank you, little Susie. And what a great name, too. John Hanson was the first black president before Washington. I heard Prince talking about that stuff. I have to check that out. It was different. It wasn't really, I get you. We could get into that. Did you see the Vatican put a giant statue of Moloch at the entrance to the Colosseum? Yeah, Jenny, I talked about that with Carrie Cassidy today. Makes perfect sense. It's called disclosure. Moloch and Yahweh, Moloch and the God of the Bible. And see, Carrie didn't believe me. She's smart. I said that Moloch and Yahweh are the same God. You can't separate them textually, anthropologically in the Old Testament. And I said that, and like 20 minutes later, she comes back and says, and I did just look up that scholars did say that Moloch and Yahweh were the same one. So she was checking me out, and I got to give her kudos for that. She checked it out. And can I point out that I was right? Can I point out that I was correct? Because I was. And it's not, an old dog needs to wag his own tail every now and then. Aluminum held together with duct tape. Oh, we're talking about the lunar module again. Do you realize that the freaking rover couldn't fit on the limb? So how the hell did it get up there? And 2 fully dressed astronauts couldn't get out of the limb. And the first man on the moon, there was somebody there to take a picture. Who was it? And when they flew away off the moon, there's somebody down there with a picture. They left Bruce Willis on the moon. That's why there's a man in the moon, because they left him there. Come on, guys. It wasn't freaking real. It wasn't freaking real. I shook George's hand, and swear he's wearing a skin suit. I have not shaken George's hand, believe it or not. All the times I've been on coast, I've never actually met him. Never actually met him. I like your funny hair. Thank you, Ari. The swastika emblem's been found all over the world. Squirrel. But it has. You're right. You're right. Let's see. True old school. Oh, come on. I feel good. I get to remove somebody. It's been a while. Let's see. Christmas is next month. Squirrel. Joe Sapien trying to be. I'm so tempted to share you with my ex-Reformed church minister. Do it. Do it. Jeff be walking on the wild side. I like it here. Let's see. The rovers in Greenland, a.k.a. Mars. Jeff has it right. The lunar module, I've seen it. It's comical. It is literally comical. It really is. It's literally comical. It can't be true. It cannot be true. Let's see. Yahweh makes the Grinch seem like a saint. That's so good. So good. Let's see. Birds of a feather. Italy and Israel are birds of a feather. I'll go with that. If you're your own God, then who do you pray to? Yourself? Why would I pray, Gunner? You don't ask me any other questions until you answer my question. Are you still going to worship Jesus because he was a Satanist, because he said that you're a God? Don't ask me any more questions until you answer mine. No more questions. Let's see. Praying does make you pray. They can't even get through the Van Allen belt. Yeah, I know. That's my fault. Got in late. Talk to yourself and manifest stuff. Boom, there you go. No such thing. Here I did. I got it. The space thing is me. No more soup for you. Chew. Is meditation, is meditation not truly prayer? No, I don't think meditation is prayer. I really don't, but that's okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think Gunner was trying to be funny, but anyway, I'm not even joking, says Jules. He complimented my hair and shook my hand. Bones with mush and skin covering. Never felt anything like it. Come on. Don't be wrecking things like that for me, Jules. Talking about my boy George. I like George. I like what he does. I know some of you don't like him. I think he's good. I like George, but hey, it is what it is. And if you thought he was sort of not a great handshaker. And here we go again. Pin the tail on the Antichrist. Hitler was the Antichrist. The next one coming is Jesus, my Lord and Savior. Justin Springston. Bro, really? Hitler was the Antichrist, even though, do you know that the whole concept of Antichrist is Jesuit? How do you feel, Justin, teaching Jesuit doctrine? How do you feel? The Jesuits made up the future Antichrist. All of the Protestant reformers said Antichrist was the Pope, the papacy, the Roman Catholic Church. But here you are preaching Jesuit doctrine. That surprises me, Justin. You don't look like a Jesuit, but you're preaching Jesuit doctrine. Why? Why are you preaching Jesuit doctrine? And the next Christ, I already told you Christ is not even a true word. Why are you being ignorant? You know that's not even an English word. It's a made-up word. The next Christ to incarnate as a man, how many Christs have incarnated as a man? And he's coming soon. He's been coming soon for 2,000 years, Justin. Is he lost? Is his GPS broke? He's your Lord and Savior. What's he saving you from? He going to save you from the sin he gave you? What kind of a God needs a blood sacrifice? What kind of a God needs a blood sacrifice? If you want to serve that kind of God, up to you, Justin Springston. You look smarter than that. You look smarter than that. Don't fall for the flat earth. The earth is expanding and the science is in on it. I won't. Mr. B says, 1 PBR, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's see. Jesus is never coming back. Jesus does save if he clips coupons, ladies and gentlemen. Tons and space dust. I ranted on one of your videos. What God sends most of the things he made to hell? A failed God. What kind of a God expects hatred and intolerance? So we're spiraling out of control now. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus is a 10% taker. Oh, boy. Anyway, you're the one that's teaching Jesuit doctrine. Don't tell me F Jesuits. You're teaching Jesuit doctrine. So if you say F Jesuits and you're teaching, okay, you're teaching Jesuit doctrine. You say F Jesuits. So then I have to say to you, Justin Springston, fuck you. I have to. You just told me, fuck Jesuits. And you're telling me Jesuit doctrine, so fuck you. That's called painting yourself into a corner, cousin. Not a God I want. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've told somebody to F off, so I guess the show is complete now. Who is Jesus in the King James 16:11? You tell me who is Aesop in the Fables, and I'll answer your question. All right. Bobby says, at least you didn't call him stupid. That's funny. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, and Gregory Kaczynski thinks he's a comedian. Why do you look like Guy Fieri? Well, I don't. I'm much better looking. And my hair's not dyed. And why are you looking at a guy's hair anyway? You got a little of that going on, and that's okay if you do. And so since you're an unbeliever, do you still value morality? Yeah, because if I don't believe in a God that says he's wrathful, if I don't believe in a God that says he's jealous, if I don't believe in a God that says kill babies, rip them out of their mother's womb, if I don't believe in a God that says kill everybody, if I don't believe in a God whose priests are screwing little boys, I don't value morality. Think about what you say before you open your mouth again, Kaczynski, because you're making yourself look really stupid. I got to believe in a God that's a liar, a killer, a rager. Just restricted to what he says. I'm a jealous God. I'm a wrathful God. I lie if I have to. And you want to talk to me about morality? I value morality because I denounce your foolish, silly God. I love myself and I love my neighbor. And I have peace that passes understanding. Because I have to understand why you're so stupid. I can just hope that you'll find the divinity within you and move on, living life and life more abundant. It's just that simple, ladies and gentlemen. Scotty says, Cynthia, get in there. Oh, boy, that's funny. Don't worry, Gregory. You're not the only one that has a homosexual obsession with me. You're not. There's more. Trust me. There's more. Okay, I'm going to leave before I say something else that gets me in trouble. Ladies and gentlemen, this is fun. This is powerful. This is enlightening. And wait till I show you that we can find and date Revelation to AD 70 as well. Setting you free and tearing down the false paradigms. It's all in a day's work. I will not look at the chat again because I'll get stuck into something else. History's written by the winners. I'm okay with that because I look at 40,000 winners every day, and I know that we can win today and write a better tomorrow. I'm the Christian Whistleblower. You're the Gospel Truth Army, and together we can make a difference if we get busy. They tell you that things are bad and getting worse. Don't believe them. Things are good and getting better, and we are here to make damn sure they do. Together, we got this. We can do anything. We can manifest anything that we want. So let's get busy getting busy. We'll see you again next time.